the things that we had to accept when we started managing God's money, God's way for God's glory, and choosing to live debt-free is that there were going to be people in our lives who just weren't going to get it. And we were going to seem pretty strange to them. In today's video, I really want to encourage you that not only is it okay for the world to think you are strange with how you manage your money, you actually want them to think that, because it's probably a really great sign that you're on the right track. Because the numbers, they don't lie. Here where I live in the West and in the US particularly, we have a lot of people who are in a lot of debt. Before we dive in, if you're interested in more content like this, I would love if you'd consider clicking that subscribe button, and thank you to all who have. I am so glad that you're here. All right, let's start by looking at the things that the world says are normal about money and kind of debunking them. All right, the first thing that the world will say is perfectly normal about managing your money is that you have to have debt. There is no way to go through life without debt. Now, remember here on this channel, when I'm talking about being debt-free, I am not necessarily talking about having a mortgage. I recognize that for many people, you can't just pay cash for a house, particularly in the market that we have now and have had for many years. So we're talking about consumer debt. We're talking about debt that doesn't serve you, debt that isn't giving you some sort of a return. And as I've said before in other videos, you need a place to live. Oftentimes a mortgage is cheaper than rent. So when I say debt-free, or when I say the world thinks debt is normal, I'm not talking about the mortgage. Let's just get that out of the way now. My family is living proof that you can live on one income with no consumer debt for an extended period of time. I know my husband's not like a brain surgeon or something. You will live a bit different than the world, but you can do it, and you can very much enjoy your life while doing so. So don't believe the lie that you have to have debt to have a happy life. It's not true. The next thing the world would have you believe about money is that everyone stresses and worries about money, and that's just part of life. Now, I'm not going to lie to you and say that even when you have no debt, there aren't circumstances that can arise that can cause you to be a little anxious about finances. That's just life in a fallen world. Things happen, and sometimes those things are costly, and sometimes those things will drain your emergency fund, and sometimes those things are very unexpected. And yes, there will still be some stress, some worry here and there about money. But being wise with your money takes a lot of those things that were once stresses or kind of were always stresses for you, and it turns them more into just inconveniences. Sitting down to pay your bills isn't scary or overwhelming because you have a plan and you have a budget and you know what you're trying to do with your money. Being a wise steward of God's money means that you are more regularly exercising and growing in gratitude and contentment. You're trusting Him to provide, and you're growing in that trust in Him to take care of your needs. And that leads to overall just less stress and less worry. So no, while you may have occasional times of worry about financial situations that come up, when you manage God's money God's way, you do not live a life where you are constantly worried and stressed and anxious over bills. You don't have to live that way. Another thing that the world might say is normal about managing your money is that a credit card is a perfectly fine emergency fund. You don't need an emergency fund. You just have a credit card, right? I've heard this so many times. I promise you, an emergency situation is not helped. It is not made even an iota less stressful if you know that that situation is now going to cost you even more money down the road. It's going to bring new bills into your life. There's going to be interest charged. If you are using your credit card as an emergency fund, you are not setting yourself up to build wealth. Interest will always be working against you. So don't buy that. The world doesn't know what they're talking about. The next thing the world will tell you is just completely normal and you're weird if you don't do it is you have to have a car payment. It is just a part of life. You will always have a car payment. You will pay off your car for 5 years. You will then go trade that car in and you have to get another car payment. Car payment is just part of life. Deal with it. It's not. We haven't had a car payment in over 13 years. Not sure if you can tell I'm a bit passionate about this one, and I will be doing some more videos for sure, but for now I just want to say no, you do not need to have a car payment for the rest of your life. And not having a car payment will save you so much money. It's unbelievable. If you are also on team no car payments, I would love you to leave a comment down below and encourage others that you can do it. It is totally possible. All right, the next way that you can be different than the world, even though they're gonna think you're strange, is you cannot buy into the lie that budgets restrict you, that budgets make you less free. Budgets are no fun. I personally find spending way more fun when I know I can do it because I've been given permission to do it by the budget that I've set in place. I mean, have you ever been in a situation where you spent money you really know you shouldn't have spent and you feel guilty and you feel really irresponsible? That's not fun. A budget is not restrictive. It is you giving yourself permission to enjoy God's provision. So have fun, make a budget. The next thing the world will tell you about money and finances is that you need to go to college in order to be a success. And you probably need to go into debt to have the college experience to really be living your life. This one is a huge pet peeve of mine. But I will preface this by saying I went to college, I graduated, I had the college experience, and I even got to leave with a little bit of student debt. So my whole life growing up, I was told that college was the gold standard. It was the only way to do better. It was the only way to get ahead or make money. But here I sit at 44, and that truth has not really borne out in life as I observe it. I've seen firsthand people pursue degrees, not finish, but still have the debt. I've seen people who finish school have the debt, but can't get a job in their field. I've seen people with degrees judging those who don't. And I've even felt that pressure from society as a parent that if a child wasn't choosing to go the 4-year college route, somehow they weren't going to be as successful. I have loved the trend lately of people really bucking against this. There are many amazing and lucrative careers that do not require a 4-year degree. My husband is a great example of that. He can make without a 4-year degree in the industry that he is in, that he has built up his experience and grown in for the last 20 plus years, triple what I could make with my bachelor's. He also got into that industry as a young man, had no student debt, and began investing and saving for retirement very young, and we all know compound interest is your friend. So no, you don't need to go to college to be successful, and you certainly don't need to go into debt to have the college experience to enjoy a perfectly happy adult life. Now, please don't hear what I'm not saying. I am not opposed to college. There are industries and careers where you need that degree. My homeschooled kids started doing dual enrollment classes as soon as they were able to start getting some of those college credits under their belt, since maybe they weren't sure what they wanted to do. Why not get some inexpensive credits out of the way while you can? One of our sons is pursuing a bachelor's degree in engineering as we speak. However, our oldest son opted to join the United States Air Force right out of high school, and that's proven to be a wonderful thing for him and now for his family. And he's even been able to do some college, and it's paid for by the GI Bill. So don't believe the lie the world tells you that you have to graduate high school, move into the dorms, get a 4-year degree in order to be successful, happy, have a lucrative career, grow a business. That isn't the only option out there, and it makes sense for you to stop thinking that it is. Many people who have bought into this thinking are now carrying a lot of debt because of it, and with the way those student loan payoff plans tend to work, they keep paying off that debt for decades. All of these things that the world tells us are normal about money, or things that you might be told you're kind of strange because you don't do, or you don't agree with, or you don't believe. These normal things are the things that are keeping people stressed and keeping people in debt and making it so that they are not able to fully manage God's money to God's glory. If you're a Christian, you, me, we're called to live different than the world. And a great place for us to do that is with our money. We all, believer and unbeliever alike, have to live and work in the marketplace and deal with money and transactions. But Christian, should we be thinking of money and using money just like everyone else? Or might this not be a place where we can show the world our growing dependence on God, our trust in His sovereign hand to provide, our growth in contentment with whatever He has chosen to allow us to manage, and even our radical generosity? These scriptures might help you understand a little more about what God's word has to say about this. How might God be using your current financial situation so that you can show the world that you live differently for Him? How might He even be allowing hardship, struggle, and lack to develop and grow your faith and trust in Him? And in what ways might He be calling you to be different than the world when it comes to your money? Click into this video if you want to hear more about how to be a good steward of God's money, and I will see you next time.